Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. We've got a couple of projects that we're going to be working on in this video, and we're going to pick up where we left off down here on this wall inside of the workshop down there. But I'm going to have to go down and pick up a log and saw up some more 2x4s because I ran out. But this is what we're looking at. Yesterday I managed to close up that hole pretty good up against the wall. So we're going to have to do the same thing to this side right here. I've got some 2x4s laid out there, and then I've got 3 more up in that old sawmill. But yeah, this thing turned out really well. Here's a look at it from up top here. This is going to give me quite a bit of space because that side right over there is right about 4.5 feet to the peak. And then this side over here is about 18 inches. So that gives me quite a bit of space that I can actually store some lumber. So the sawmill lumber, 8-footers are actually 8.5 feet, so they would stick over just a little bit, but still, that's going to give me quite a bit of space to store what I would call 8-foot lumber. Against the wall over here, I can store 12-foot vertically if I needed to, and I could go down to 10s over here on this side. I could also make some horizontal racks here, but I don't think that I will. And I could store lumber horizontally if I wanted to. Then we have a subscriber that contacted me from the last video, I think it was, that I showed this little lawnmower and said that they had worked on and repaired hundreds of those and would like to come over here and help. So part of this video is going to be tuning up the John Deere and putting the parts on that I got. One of them is a spindle down there for the blade and the belt to go on. Then the other is new axles for the front end. And here are those spare parts, this is the spindle that I was talking about. And then here's the front axles that go on. So in case you might have missed that video, we were able to pick that lawnmower up for $300 from a friend of mine that used to go to church with me before they moved off. And I'll tell you what, that was a really good find. And then that fella that said that he had been watching this channel for quite some time and wanted to come up and help get that thing in operating condition. So we're going to work on that in this video as well. Well, we'll get this 2x4 squared off to start with. Alright, the first one I need is 20.5 inches. Next one is 21.5. I think I've got enough siding left over that I can actually cover both sides of the wall once we start framing it. Number 3, I'll get them all out of the same 2x4. How about that? Alright friends, this is the last one. Then we got to cut one out, I think, for the back side. Now let's see if I can get these put in here. too far down. Alright guys, we've got this side sewed up over here. So I'm going to get busy outside here cleaning off the sawmill. We'll run down and grab a log and we'll bust out a bunch of 2x4s so that we can start framing this wall. Well, after that little morning shower, I need to run down here because I noticed yesterday when we brought that log up here and set it on the sawmill that I didn't get it far enough to cover the bunk on the left-hand side. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I lack about 1 inch hitting this last bunk right here. Even though it's supported by those 3, I've still got enough room down here where this jack is where I could go back about another 3 inches. That way I can sit on all 4 bunks, which to me is better than being supported by 3. So I'm going to fire the tractor up and we'll see if we can move that log over just a little bit. I can roll the log, but it's hard to slide it backwards and forwards. know whether you can tell it or not, but these two right here are thinner than the rest of them, because when you get old like me, you can't tell whether you're reading 5/8 or 3/8. So these are cut just a little bit thin, you know, but I can still use them. These four right here warped on me a little bit. Those four came out okay. But if I cut these down on the shorter side of the 2x4s that I need, these I can still use. But yeah, that's what happens when you get old like me and you can't see. Well, good morning. It's a nice sunny day out here. Got the air on inside and the dogs are sacked out. Anyway, we're going to go down here and start to lay out this wall so that I can get busy framing it. That's what I ended up with yesterday, and they are pretty well dry, so I'm not really worried about putting them in. The only problem I ever have with poplar, every once in a while, it will warp. That's been quite a while since I had one do that on me. Anyway, we'll get in here and we'll get set up. I'm going to strike a few lines before we start. I think I have enough chalk left where I can strike these lines. Alright, so yesterday I came down, and this is the center of the floor. I would go ahead and just make a 3-foot door. So I measured out 19 inches on each side, and that's where that 2x4 is going to stop right there, and this one will be the same. About like that right there. Okay, I believe that's got it. I can see that. I don't know how you all would do it, but the way that I do it is these two pieces right here. So I use these for my short pieces. That way I can kind of cut any bow that I may have out of that with just ever so slight. So I needed 33 1/4, right? Alright, so we want to be behind this line, and I'm going to opt to screw these in because my floor joists run this way. So I've got one here and one here with nothing below this 1x material. So we're going to go ahead and screw these into the floor, but then I have the posts where I can use nails. Well, when you have braces like this, you have to kind of break away from conventional framing, and so what I'm doing is stick framing. But I've got another 2x4 that we are going to place right up here. There we go. And I got another one for the other side. Okay, friends, we got all of that out of that other 2x4. Alright, we'll get this one put on, and then we just have to do our sides. And right about there. Do the same thing to this side. Right about there. Okay, now we can get those in there. And you get this side. Okay, let's measure and see what we've got here. About 49. Do that side. And the same over there. Alright, let's get this one put in here. One there. And I think right there. Okay, and then down here the same way. Get this side. Okay, I went over and over in my mind what I thought would look best, and I think if I keep the same theme as I started with right here, and not the siding, but straight up and down like I would do board and batten, I think that that's going to look better in here than it would shiplap. So what we need is we need horizontal braces in here, and that's what I've got right here. So we're going to start on the bottom and get this bracing put in here horizontally so that we have something to nail to. Alright, we are all set now to start cutting boards and putting them in there, and if we need any more we can always add some more, but I only use half of the 2x4s that I cut out there. So this was 5 2x4s. So we'll get this measured out. I need 87 inches right there. I've been down here kind of working on this every once in a while and managed to get it almost closed up. Yeah, let's see if we can get this other one put in here, and then we'll only lack one piece. There we go. I got this one board left. Let's see if we can get it in there. Right about there. We had a little bit of a knot right here that I had to cut out for, but you know, it's okay because it's just a workshop, right? But I think that it looks really good, and now we'll have a way to close that off so that we don't have to heat and cool all of this, and we'll also be able to get in and out with a 36-inch door. So if I'm ever in a wheelchair, if I could get myself a ramp up here, I could still get in. How about that? Well, good morning. I'm waiting on our friend to get here, and I thought I would walk down here and show you the other side of this wall because I didn't do that yesterday. But I'm going to finish the inside with maybe some really thin plywood or something like that. So here, let me show you. I think that really looks good. It's going to provide a way that I can, like I said, separate myself from the other side and not have to heat and cool everything. And I've got a small mess out here that I'm going to have to clean up. But we'll work on that after we get this lawnmower fixed, because my son-in-law, Steven, came up here yesterday and mowed the lawn for me because I didn't want to put this John Deere to work until we got the new parts on it. But yeah, he came and trimmed up the yard and made it look really nice. So as soon as he gets here, we're going to start working on the little John Deere. Well, friends, Ed made it, and I'll tell you what, not only did he make it, but he made it bearing gifts. Let me show you. He brought a package of bearings, actually, to replace the new parts that I had, because these are actually bushings, but they are not bearings. So he said you're going to have a lot more use out of your machine with this in there as opposed to this. So isn't it nice to have friends in high places? Okay, he works for John Deere. He was saying a while ago, he said, I could probably take this apart and put it back together in an hour and a half, where it would take me an hour and a half just to get the battery out. But anyway, we've got some work to do, and we're going to get started. All right, friends, I think the first thing that we're going to do is take the deck off.
And this pin, if you curve it and get it right out, should be a washer there. Draft rod out. This is what's called considered a P-hook. It should have a washer and a pin on it. You see the deck hanger here? Same thing, pin and washer. And a P-hook. And they do turn out of the deck. Terrible. This E-clip.
How about that, friends?
Camps, I love them.
All right, you see that? That's supposed to be round all the way. That's what that was doing without it being a bearing. We are replacing those with bearings. This is what was in there.
Putting our outside washer on and our E-clip here, snap ring. When you got it on, it should be able to turn. That means it's locked in place. Can't come off. One wheel, no play. So we got our belt cover here. We have 3 10mm screws. locked down with a block of wood. There we go. Alright, this 15/16 pulley off. One blade, one washer. One spindle out. It goes right to that pocket right there. So new spindle in. The blade has to be on and tight in order to get torque on this to tighten it up. Then it does lock in a star pattern.
Yeah guys, we're gonna need a new belt. Look at that. Not only there, down there along the bottom as well.
You don't want over tight.
So we got the front end fixed and we've got that new spindle in there, but then we realized that that belt was about rotted in two. So we're going to leave the deck off and he's going to pick up a belt, and he said he's going to bring it back because if we put the deck back on, it has to really come off in order to put that big serpentine belt's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Put that on there. So yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's nice having somebody that knows what they're going to, or what they need to be doing, right? Because I would have still been on the, what was it, the front left. Well friends, I'm going to help him go ahead and pick up his tool so that he can get home, but thanks again so much for coming by and helping me get that
Anytime, Richard. Anytime.
fixed up, because I'd have not known what I was doing. But friends, be sure and stay tuned. Next week, he said he's coming back, he's going to bring a belt, and we'll get that put on. Y'all take care. We'll see you back up here at the cabin again next time.